Hey, everybody, it's Tim Gillette, and we're here with another Tim Gillette show. I have a I can't emphasize the word special enough podcast for you guys today. All right. Both one of my mastermind members and friends, Linda Kaye, as well as her mother, Lorraine, all right, actually wrote a book together. And we're actually going to talk about this book. We've got Lorraine on here. So we actually get to we actually get to ask her some of these questions, find out a little bit about her life and why a young lady at age of 90 wrote a book like this. So I'm excited to have this in. So you got a copy of the book there to show, right, Linda?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah, cool, right. So the book is Miracles on My Doorstep. And I actually have the PDF version on my second computer here so that I can look at some stuff onto it. So first of all, Linda, you and I know each other, but Lorraine, you and I don't. This is our first chance to talk. So Lorraine, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to have a good time. I promise everybody who gets on my podcast, this is what they say. It's one of the most fun podcasts they've ever been on. So thank you for joining us, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Lorraine, I gotta shoot right out of the hat and ask you. All right, it says here, 90 years of age, you wrote a book. Now, what made you want to write a book at 90 years of age?
Well, you got to leave your children something, and I thought
we were thinking $1 million.
Yeah, but anyway. The pastor in church was talking one day. And he said, you're never too old to write a book.
That's right.
That's right. Make sure that it's something interesting. So I told Linda, and of course, Linda been after me anyhow for a couple of years. Write a book, Mom.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I'll share all the miracles of my life. And here we are.
Yeah.
Well, a little spoiler alert. I did tell her it was only going to take 30 days. As I told our other mastermind mentor, Craig Duswalt, I'm a complete failure at his plan. It took us 18 months.
Hey, it's okay. You got it done, and to me, Linda, all right, it is huge because I wrote my first book and I promised my dad and I promised Zig Ziglar I was going to write that book. And they had both passed away when I finally got that book written. So you got it done. You know what I mean? And that was 7 years I promised them, and I didn't do it for 7 years. Wow. You guys got it done, and Lorraine, you're leaving a legacy that can now be shared for generations. All right. And this is huge. All right. That you've done this. And when I have people in their 30s, like my daughter says she wants to be a novelist, and 15 years later, she still doesn't have that first book done. So, you got to do it. All right. No matter what it is, you just got to do it. Find a way to do it. So,
I've learned that this is not just a book about me. It's a book about how faith has brought me through where I am today.
And that is huge that you've learned to share your faith. So many people in our world today want to hush on our faith. Right now, you and I share the same faith, the same belief. But there's people who are probably going to tune into this that don't believe that, Lorraine. What would you share with them?
What would I share with you? Having faith and a foundation, and that foundation has to be a cornerstone. That cornerstone for me is Jesus Christ. I stand on his corner, and he stands with me, holds my hand. You've got to have faith and know that you can't do anything on this earth alone. It takes a power greater than thyself.
That's right. That's right. So, my mom's texting me something as I'm talking with you and distracting me. Mothers distract people, don't they, Linda?
They do. And they're brutally honest too. You weren't doing anything really important, were you?
So my mom's texting me something. I'm like, I don't have time to read that right now. I'm doing a podcast, Right. I always love it when they stop by the house to visit me, and my mom does, and I'm doing a podcast, and she knows my schedule ahead of time. But anyway, so I love that you put that concrete, Lorraine, on Jesus. All right, that is a word that, and Linda, I'd love your input on this as well. That is a word in today's society that almost some people are like, oh man, I want to say I have faith, but I don't want to say the name Jesus right now. Lorraine, I'd love your input on that as well.
Thank you.
So I think that, it's really easy to say that you've got faith when everything's going easy and right and well. It's during those times that we actually get an additional little challenge to see, what are we made of? Where do we believe? Where is our faith? Because that's when it's really tested. It's when things really get tough. It's easy to complain and no, when she's talking about faith and she has no qualms about saying what Jesus Christ is to her in her life. And I grew up with this. So I can tell you that, she's got an expression that happens to be reminded all the time is if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Right, yeah. You'll start believing that faith comes from some other external source. So I got to tell you, stand for something. Yeah,
it is so true that we have to learn to stand for something, but and how you put it in the book. All right, I just glancing down the titles of the chapters you have. All right, one of them that really caught my eye, and I want to go into this a little bit. Maybe you can help the guest. Is it says the Brady Bunch don't live here, right? Tell us about that one, because everybody looks at the, feel good, life's good Brady Bunch. I assume, all right, it wasn't always that good when you say you got to have faith when tough times are out there.
Yeah. Well, for life at our house was like kind of like that comic strip circus.
Family circus. Yep.
Yeah, it was. There were so many people clamoring for attention at one time.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
And invariably, if you were giving one attention, the other one needed it also.
Mom, me. It's my turn.
And that's exactly what happened. Mom.
So, and Lorraine, how many kids did you have?
9.
9. All right. And how many of them are still with us?
6.
6. All right. So you've lost some along the way. How did that impact your faith?
Well, the first one happened in 1999, and it was my baby. And of course, he was 36. And we had just been outside talking, and he was doing something for me, and I kind of got a little terse when I said, I kind of raised my voice, and he said, "You don't have to yell." I said, "No, I don't." And I turned around to go in the house, and I heard a funny sound, and I saw him laying on the ground, and I thought, "Oh my goodness, he's having a seizure of some sort." Mm-hmm. Little did I know that God, as I turned my back, God had already taken his soul. He had died right there of a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow. And
just thank God that this young man knew who his creator was,
right.
Who guided his life, and he made no qualms about it. He knew that he was a child of the Lord.
Yep. Well, that takes me on to a different question there, Lorraine. Do all of your children have they all come to know Jesus and have faith in Jesus? Put him as a
absolutely.
All right.
All come to know Jesus Christ. Okay. Some at an earlier age, some at a later age. Mm-hmm. And when I say later, probably their teens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, all right, even though some of us have come to faith at a young age. I think I was just like 12 or 13 myself. My youngest brother, all right, he was like 8 or 9 at the time. All right, my youngest brother still serves in missions and stuff like that. Right. But there was a period of time of his life that he basically went off and ran a wild life that would not be something you would see a Christian do. Have any of your child gone off on their rebellious phase and come back?
Oh, great question.
You can tell us if it was Linda.
No, Mom, I'll pay you.
Well, it's never kiss and tell. You know that old phrase, never kiss and tell, because the kisses always came before, and after the storm, there were more kisses and more hugs. Uh-huh. I would like to say that I was the perfect mother. Oh boy, is that ever a big
now
story.
Remember, this is a family show. We're not
this
writing
is a
fiction.
Family show. And
You can shake your head if she was a bad mother. She can't see, Linda.
at times I was. At times I was, I'm sure. But there's an old saying: we don't get to pick our mother or father, but we get to pick the Jesus. We get to have that right to choose who we care and want to serve. Did I pick the proper children? Absolutely. God gave every one of those to me, every one. So I just know that each child was a perfect gift and a perfect pick.
I think that when your first question at the top, Tim, was the Brady Bunch. I think that's really a part in the book that really begins to talk about free will and personal choice. And maybe sometimes those choices are not great choices. And, the fact that you have a mom that has always stood in her faith. You always knew where she was. There's no question in any of our minds what she stood for, who she was. As the rock of the family, it was really important to know that if you did stray, if you did get away on your own with your own free will, your own choices, and there were several pretty bad choices, and she just loved them through this. And there's one incredibly remarkable recovery of one of those brothers that I was blessed to have that relationship with my mom, that we took him and snatched him from death's door, because that's where he was at. And that we're not perfect, but we are forgiven. And I think that's really a basic fundamental that we were raised with. We're not perfect. We do have faults, but he looked beyond our fault and saw our needs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Linda, was there ever a time that you, with all the ups and downs, and you know what I mean, mom's not perfect. Was there ever a time that you felt you weren't loved as one of her children?
I think that every kid probably goes through that, Tim, and that's a great question, because, if our parents didn't raise us to make those choices, to become independent, you better be careful, because they'll never leave home. Right.
Yeah, I had that happen.
They'll come back home and then never want to leave. So you have to strike a balance in that. Yeah, they're going to make decisions, and they'll be making independent decisions. And some of those decisions aren't always good, but you have to allow, the blessing of the wounded knee. Let them fall.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let me twist this a little bit here, Lorraine. With this book, all right, when you decided to write it, now you said you've had 9 children, all right, 6 of them are still with us. Why did you choose to do this with Linda, or did you ask the rest of your kids to be involved?
Well, Linda and I have kind of a musical connection. We're both musicians, and we connect musically, and we connect in different ways. And she was the obvious choice because she's a writer by.
Yeah, she is. She's good, and she's good at it. I know that because she's in my mastermind.
And
I'll pay you later, Tim.
And I know that I didn't dare tell her stories because she knew all my stories from early on. During my griping years, and I did plenty of griping. When are you kids going to grow up? Don't you know better?
Yeah.
You kids know better.
I think I heard my mom say that to me this morning.
When are you going to grow up, Tim?
Anyway,
I didn't teach that to you,
yeah. Anyway, so you go through that. All right, you chose Linda. All right, you knew your stories. She knew hers. All right. Are there any stories that we said, hey, we're leaving out of this book? We're not putting them in.
Any story that you're not supposed to do? No, I'm an open book. You can tell anything.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh, I can tell stories on her.
No, there were stories actually in this process, which was doubly difficult because most of the writing was over the phone. So I would call her and interview her because mom, can't send me pictures of things but she would have to describe things. And so the questions that I would ask would be, really taxing anybody about what they had just done, let alone 50, 60, 70, 80 years earlier.
Yeah.
And so the ability for her to recall things were pretty remarkable, and they were unfiltered. So I just simply wrote. And as I wrote, I did a lot of research so that it was, kind of an interesting book beyond just, a family story, because where they came from and how they met and the other things that, I thought would be interesting to a reader. I also wanted the stories to be short enough that the intent, what I designed this around, which was sitting in a doctor's office. Remember those? Remember those days?
Yeah.
Being able to sit in a waiting room. So I just designed the story, each chapter, to be consumable while you were sitting in a waiting room. And, it might take you 10, 15 minutes to consume a chapter. So that's kind of how the whole 25 chapters came about, which was, but when going back to the question that you asked of, were there things that
you would
weren't said in the book?
Yeah.
They weren't, everything was put in the book. There's some good, there's bad, there's even some ugly, dealing with a suicide in the family, dealing with, waywardness in the family, dealing with, personalities. And so at the end of the day, when these things were written, I would read them back to her. And as much as they were stories that she felt, we would have a discussion about something. Does that really need to be said? Because in a book, it's in perpetuity. It's going to be there. So why reach out or strike out at somebody? You can tell a story without telling all of the bad things that happened. You can talk about the emotions that happened. You can talk about the outcome. You can talk about what led into that issue without having to take somebody's life and turn it upside down and inside out and show it to the viewer, because that person's going to have to live with it for the rest of their lives.
Right.
So we went back and edited probably 3 things in the book which just simply didn't need to be there. And out of that, what's interesting, Tim, is that despite that, there is a belief in the family with certain members that think that there's really something there that isn't, and they haven't even read it. So wow. I don't know what that tells you as a family. We're still
almost like you had a purpose behind the book, and the story didn't fit the purpose. Is that kind of what we're? I think that's pretty accurate, because the idea of the chapters are to lift and to show and demonstrate faith and belief and love and commonness between all of us and our readers or listeners, because this is now available in audio format and written format and downloadable. So it was really interesting, because then the audio part of it, now we brought in another family member, Mom.
That's
Remember?
right.
We brought Fred in to read the gospel.
Wow. Oh, praise God.
So Mom has.
I figured, Linda, with all the connections you had, you were going to bring somebody in like Glenn Morshower to read it for you.
I should have. But I actually became the voice of her because it was easy to tell these stories.
Yeah.
So I became a young voice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as the book gets out there, what is one of the objectives you hope to reach with this book? Do you have an objective, or was it just hey, I need to share this legacy?
Now, my true objective is, should we know that this book is going to be passed on through the ages until the Lord comes. I would like my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, the generations to come, to know some of their deep roots. But the deepest root that I remember is a great-grandfather coming from the Ukraine, suffering for his faith. And I thank God I'm an American today. I thank God that I have the freedom to say what I can say. And I know that our faith through Christ is a gift, a wonderful gift. And I want my great-grandchildren to know this. I told my other grandchildren, I said, read these stories to your children at night. They're going to laugh. They're going to cry. Grandma didn't do that. Now, come on. Yes. Yeah. So that was my objective. But I want people to know that through all the strife that we go through in life, there is a foundation that holds you up and that's your faith in Jesus Christ, the rock.
Yeah. So you did mention there a little bit, like there's some funny stuff in there. You want to share something funny that's in the book? I don't know whether Linda or Lorraine, which one of you want to share it?
A James story. Tell a James story.
One of my
James is my, okay, so the birth order here. 3 boys, a girl. I'm the first girl. 3 boys, a girl, 3 boys, a girl, then amen, the caboose. So James is squarely in the middle. He's number 5. So there's 4 older and there's 4 younger. And he is in the middle of everything that you can imagine. Give him just an example, Mom.
Well, I guess he had to vie for all the attention, and he didn't care. He was his own man at a very early age. He's going to do what he needs to do to get where he needs to go and get the attention he needed. So one morning, it was quite early, maybe 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he's in the upper bunk, and he said, "I'm going to jump." And I said, "You better not."
Wait a minute. How old was he?
Oh, he was only 2.5. "I'm going to get out of bed now. I'm going to jump." No, wait till I get there. But by the time I got there, he had jumped. And I picked him up, and I, something's wrong. Both his legs were just swinging. And I had to rush to the hospital with him. And of course, he had broken his complete hip and pelvic area and stuck in a body cast. And so he got the attention he needed. He got to be carried around in a body cast for several months. And he was the center of attention. And that's one of the funny things that, you think about. And other kids did other silly things. I went to the restroom one morning, and Linda had picked up a pair of scissors, and she asked her older brother to trim her hair.
How old was I?
Oh, you were 5. And her brother was 8.
I just need a little off the back, please.
So he cut the whole braid off. She had 2 beautiful long braids. I came out of the bathroom with a heart attack.
Just a little off the side, please.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Linda, you had that kind of faith to trust your brother. I wouldn't trust my brothers with scissors near me, no matter what.
Right? Forget running with scissors. Don't give them scissors.
Yes.
Oh, she found them. She was going to do some cutout dolls. And
My favorite story. This is my all-time favorite. Okay. This is the Russian car. So this is
yes,
going down the freeway and people are looking at you. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. So there are 4 of us in the car, the 4 older. So my 3 brothers and myself, and the 3 boys are in the back and I'm in the front. And my grandparents had brought out this car.
a Plymouth station.
What year was it? A 57 or something?
Probably
57.
52, I think. 52.
Which they thought was, really wonderful. It even came with a case of oil. So, nice. So she's now going up to the store, and the 3 are in the back. I'm in the front. Now take it from there.
Oh my goodness. And people are hollering, "Hey, there's sparks underneath your car." Oh, that's okay. Never mind. I just figured it was just backfire. And finally, one car.
And wait, the boys are giggling.
Oh, yes, the boys are giggling.
What are they giggling about?
Oh, I had no clue. I said, "What's so funny?"
Nothing, Mom.
Nothing, Mom. Oh, what's going on back there?
Nothing, Mom.
So finally, one car drove to honk the horn. "Stop your car. There's really a lot of sparks flying from underneath your car."
There were about to be sparks flying inside the car as well.
Well, the floorboard had been eaten out by
Rust.
and they had found a big heavy chain.
Toe chain.
Yeah, tow chain that we kept in there because you couldn't depend on the car starting every time. So we always had a tow chain. And they were dragging that tow chain through that hole in the floorboard on the freeway.
Cool. Look at those sparks. Wow, that's really awesome.
Oh my.
And there was no place safe in the car, Tim, because I don't care wherever wherever you sat in the car, Mom's right hand reach. Whoosh,
Yeah.
That was the car seat at that time.
Yeah.
oh no, it also doubled as the paddle.
Oh,
Whack.
yeah.
So It just reminds me of dumb stuff I did as a kid, but like, you know what I mean? You always like to hear somebody else was just as smart as you. So,
Oh yeah, they were brilliant. Brilliant.
like my mom, she had 4 boys, right? And we lived in a small town in Pennsylvania, and we were well known at the emergency room because like we were always doing something. Like I sprained my ankle one day, and like my mom's like, "Yeah, just go back outside and play." And I still I beat her up when she was on my podcast on that story, so she could tell it because she didn't believe me. Until that night, I'm like, Mom, I'll do the dishes. Just let me put my foot up. It hurts. And I push her, fine, show it to me. And my ankle's like this basketball. All right. She goes,
No.
but I'm sure with that many boys, Lorraine, all right, you've had a few visits to the emergency room.
Oh, quite a few. One child liked to swallow money. One liked to jump out of trees. One would get on his 3-wheeler and invariably get a ticket because you're not supposed to be on a 3-wheeler crossing the street. He'd get a ticket. One got a ticket for riding a bicycle, speeding on a 2-wheel pedal bicycle. And they'd come home with all these stories. And, I wonder what's going on with you kids. Are you out of your tree? What's going on? Did you get a ticket on the bicycle? Yeah, Mom, I was going 30 miles an hour, not 25. For real? Yeah, we saw a lot of time in the emergency. I think the doctors were beginning to wonder if I inflicted some of those.
That was my mom's worry, Lorraine, was that she was worried the doctors wouldn't think she was abusing her kids. Yeah. She was waiting for child services to show up. Like, and this is the 70s. Child services to show up. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't worry. Sometimes I felt like giving him a broken leg, but no.
But yeah, the old car with the chain, that's got to be the story of the day right there.
That's a classic. That's totally a classic. It was a different time, Tim. I mean, I think about all the things that we consider today for our own kids. My daughter's 26 today, and I worried about her. I'm the one that was, she was going on a science trip and her first away trip, and I went out and bought a phone. She's in the 4th grade. She's like, Mom, nobody has a phone. You're getting a phone. I have to be able to reach you. With 9 kids, she would just turn us loose. We would, be home for dinner, and we'd be gone all day. The adventures that kids would have, and we're right next to the Mexican border. I would get on my bike and roll down to right next to the border to a strawberry field and pick strawberries, and then head home later. Today, we would never think of doing something like this or letting our kids do something like this.
Oh, one of the biggest things, they all had to appear for dinner time between 5:30 and 6:30. If you were there, you better watch out when you got back, because there would be some kind of a punishment for you. You might get your dinner, or you might be sitting at the table writing.
I don't know. That could have been strategic, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, before you go through on that, Linda, is my best friend in high school. After high school, when I was like, living on my own and single, and I knew I could always go to his house to get food because nobody wanted to eat his mom's cooking. Oh, there's always that like, well, maybe I won't go home to get cooking from Mom. The neighbor over here is serving steak. I might want to go there.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that dinner time was very, very, very important. It was our share time. What do they call it? Tell and share, or tell a story on the other one.
Some people would call it the witness stand.
Tattletale on your brother or sister? Was that it?
Yeah, it would be the witness stand.
But it also was our
the Grand Inquisition.
Yeah, we all had our spiritual time.
Okay.
They all had to learn to pray. Each one prayed. And one day I have to remember that one wasn't shutting his eye, apparently, and I'm keeping my eyes open during prayer.
Well, that was also a strategy, because if you closed your eyes during prayer, because we always bless the food, something on your plate may be gone.
Might be disappear. Like
So-
a chicken leg.
We had 4 boys. We had to hold hands because if we didn't, Mom never ate. I get that one. Yep. Yeah. So
No, I think the kids growing up are some of the best years. They're funny. There were no secrets, and the kids would ask me how I would find out. I had a piano studio, and my piano students would come in. I saw your son Sam. He didn't come to school today. I think he went fishing. So at the dinner table, Sam, how was fishing today? Who told you?
No, we could wait a minute. No, Lorraine, my case is like high school. I was in Votech school, and my dad was a teacher at the Votech, so I couldn't skip Votech. I had to go because Dad was there. My brother Kenny was in my dad's class and still could skip. He can get away with skipping school. I'm like, how did he do that?
Right? That's not fair.
That's not fair. No. But anyway. The interesting thing you share, all right, is, around the dinner table. We learned to, pray for our food and stuff like that. And it's interesting that you brought up prayer. All right. One thing that in my adult life, now, my dad's passed. We really don't have go to mom's for Thanksgiving because mom lives in a condo next to me. But we go to my Uncle Mike's. He's my mom's youngest brother. And it's like every one of us boys have gone there at one point in time for Thanksgiving. He prays, and he makes us hold hands. And
Yes.
we have to go around the table and tell something we're thankful for. And now we're talking, like not like you would have that with 9 kids. He has this with 2 of his kids, 4 of, cousins with spouses. So this could be like an hour ordeal. Right.
I think that was a strategy to have you work up an appetite before.
Yeah. And my uncle is the best person at smoking a turkey out of anybody in the family. So like everybody can't wait to go to Uncle Mike's. But is that a strategy that you would have done at your home, going, hey, what are you thankful for?
What are you thankful for?
So I don't think we ever did that. I think
we did that as adults.
Yeah, I think as youngsters we didn't, but I don't think I don't know if it was because we didn't know what we were thankful for as a kid.
I was afraid what you might say.
I'm thankful my brother took that off my plate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as adults, I think you have a wider
perspective, a wider view.
A wider perspective and a depth of gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of good stories come out of this podcast today. I'm just saying, this is probably one of my best ones in a long time to interview. But looking back now, all right, Lorraine, and writing this book and looking back on your life, do you think you could fill up another book with blessings?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say, and now, Linda, as you're moving forward in your life and you've got kids of your own, all right, are you thinking of, like, in my later years, I should write a blessings book like this to share my faith too?
I think that right now, and that's a great question, I guess, because, why do we give to ourselves last? So maybe that answer is going to be yes, because I'll finally get to myself, when I'm at this age, if I'm fortunate.
If I'm fortunate to make your age, Lorraine, God's really blessing me, because I don't think I'm going to make it.
I mean, to have her, she's so vibrant and so full of life. I joke with her. I say, when I'm 90, I want to be able, when people call my name, I want to be able to turn around and go, what? And she's got such clarity and all of her faculties. And a lot of people, I think have remarked about how incredible that is and what an inspiration that is to them. So the readers that read this are really filled with a lot of joy, not only about the kinds of things that she's lived through, but that she's got the kind of attitude that she has. So now with my brothers looking at this, Tim, they do want to have, they're like, I don't know how to write a book. I want to write a book. I don't, how do you get started? Well, you just tell a story, do a podcast. For somebody that understands technology, that's great. But if you don't, just, I didn't know how we were going to write this book. I honestly didn't. I didn't know where we were going to start. Was it going to be sequential? What am I going to put in? What am I going to leave out? Honestly, I just kept writing and it literally wrote itself. I'd go back and I'd research and I'd do some other things. But at the end of the day, I thought, okay, maybe I'll have 87 pages. When we compile, because I never put all of the chapters together. I just said, they all look like they're about 15, 8.5 by 11 pages and we're good to go. It turned out to be 275 pages and there was nobody more shocked than I was. Wow. I mean, when I said, okay, I'm going to drop this in on Amazon for 99 cents, Amazon said, no, it's too big. Minimum is $1.99. So it was a big surprise.
Yes.
When you're doing something that you really enjoy, it doesn't feel like a job. There were times that I was, she would call me up and say, you haven't talked to me in a few days and I have some things to say. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to write. We found a regular time that we did write. We found that the morning time was the best for us. And, when everybody was in the lockdown and we can't go anywhere, we don't know what we're going to do. That was, never waste a good crisis. Okay. Yeah. So use it and find a place, that you want to do something. And for us, it was a book. But Tim, as exhausted as I am after writing this, she goes, what's next? What are we doing next? I'm exhausted.
Well, there's a couple of things to write about. For joy, just the joy of life. Praise God, you've got another breath coming. Praise God, you can be a servant. You're thanking God that you can share a little bit of joy. Some people are so down and so heavy and so burdened. I've just got to give a real quick example how God intervenes in our life and how his time is not our time and our time is his time. In August, I was going to Yuma to see one of my son's new home. And Linda has to take me there, of course, because I don't drive anymore.
Thank God.
So thank God. So anyhow, I heard that one of my nieces was living in that area. So Linda found out and got the address. And when we got to Yuma, I said, why don't you call your cousin? So she called the cousin, said, we're in town and we didn't know that you lived so close to Yuma. So we said, well, we're coming over.
She was literally 15 minutes away in the car.
And I didn't know that. I hadn't seen her in 50 years and I was so delighted to be able to see her. We had a wonderful visit. She shared with us that she was in stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And she had some other heart trouble and some other health issues. So we just shared with her, do you know where, are you a believer in Jesus Christ? Where is your faith? She said she had it. We didn't delve any longer. We went back to my son's house that evening. A couple hours later, I got a call. Aunt Lorraine, yes. I have something very special to share with you. Okay. Do you realize that I've hated you for 50 years? And I was so taken back. I said, excuse me? I never liked you. I actually hated you. And I said, oh my goodness, my dear child. What a horrible burden to carry. What a heavy burden to carry. Why? She says, I don't know why. I just didn't like you. And she said, I want to ask for your forgiveness. I've never had anyone ask me that in my life for forgiveness of her. People have dislikes and may not like you for some odd reason, but something that went through her mind when she was a teenager and something I had said to her mother, and she decided she wasn't going to like me she made a decision not to like me. And how glad she was that we were there. But I think the beautiful part of it is that we were able to minister to her and her needs. And I really thank Linda and my son Dwayne, who is number 7. They went out there and they just really ministered to her and helped her. And she died in October. And what a blessing.
I think that that is also a wonderful story about why do we have anger? Why do we carry anger? Why do we have resentment, even towards a family member or somebody that, I mean,
Yes.
clearly there are reasons to dislike a situation, and clearly reasons to be angry over circumstances. But when you don't know what the circumstances are, or that loosely held belief that you had for 50 years, she carried that anger, 50
Yeah.
years of wasted time. And the end of her life, she spent that time with us.
Mhm.
So, you know, I look at that and go, you had 50 years that you wasted
Yes.
with a notion that you knew wasn't true. But she said that when she saw me with my mom on my arm walking up this ramp to her house, and mom's now 90 years old, a lot frailer and blind. And she said her anger just literally melted. It
Yeah.
melted. And I just think that, you know, I challenge any reader of the book or listeners or viewers of your audience, Tim, that if there is something that you're carrying a resentment for or a hatred,
Oh, my.
find a place, and
Yeah.
you can't give it and let it go. Give it to God, because
Yes.
that's a good place to put it.
Yes.
I carried something like that, Linda, on my grandfather for something he did to me as a kid. And I talked to him like 3 months before he passed away, but I didn't mend that relationship. I never mended that relationship. And you know what I mean? I carried his coffin, and I remember at the funeral being asked by the minister, right? Well, tell me something you can remember about your grandfather that was memorable. And I said he was an effing drunk who hung out in the basement.
Wow.
I carried that to the day. I mean, it wasn't 6 months afterwards I realized, oh my God, this hurt my life, because I didn't forgive my grandfather for something stupid that he was drunk and didn't know he did.
Right.
You know,
So
I
true.
love my grandfather. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I wish to God I could see him on this earth and look him in the eye and love him, but I can't now. You know what I mean? That time's passed. But that's exactly
And
what
as
you're
much
saying.
as easy as it is to say, you know, don't live with regret. I mean, these are really incredible examples, including yours, Tim, which thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Is so near and so dear, and even so much more vital as a lesson and as a story to
Exactly.
our listeners, that we don't need to carry that.
No.
We really
No.
don't.
Life's too short to carry this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying 50
Yeah.
years is too long to carry that.
It is
5 years is too long to carry that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And by the way, there can be things like I could think of at least, you know, one relationship, the other person's not ready to talk. So just because the other person's not ready doesn't mean you can't be.
That's right. That's right. So, well, one question I want to close up. All right, before we we play our game is, this holiday season, we lost Betty White. She would have been 100 years old this month, right? And everybody said about Betty White, it was too soon. A woman who lived that long. Lorraine, I know you're going home to see Jesus. You know what I mean? You're not going to be here forever. But there is going to be somebody who's going to see this podcast after you're gone. What is the message you want to give them?
Oh my goodness, the message I really would love to share. There's a song I think about, Just As I Am.
Oh, yes.
God took me just as I am. And I think of John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that if Lorraine, Linda, Charles, Jack, Mary believes in him, they shall not perish. It is more than just saying, yeah, I believe. No, you have to have a connection. That is your relationship, as I have with my family. Each one of us have a different relationship, but we have a one-on-one connection with each other. And yet there's only one mother but 9 children, but we all connect differently. For in following Jesus Christ, there's only one way.
Yeah.
And that's through him.
That's right.
No man cometh to the Father but through his Son, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's my message for today.
Thank you so much for sharing that with my audience and stuff. Linda, I'm going to ask you to say this. I'm going to put up on screen the website where they can get a copy of the book.
Miracles on My Doorstep. And you can, or there's a button there to order the book. You can order it in hard copy, or in a download or in an Audible. And make sure that you, while you're there, click on send me the playlist, because we have a playlist for each and every chapter.
Yes.
And every chapter begins with a meme, which is basically a picture of something and a message. And there's also, it goes with the chapter. So in this instance, let's see if I can get you right there. Blind faith.
Oh, yeah, the first one I'm looking at, too, blind faith. All right. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And it is part of Jeremiah 29:11. So,
And so with every chapter, there's also a song. So Mom and I curated a playlist, and that playlist also brings those songs and the chapter and the verse to life. So
cool. That is awesome. So it's a book that brings to life. Yeah. Well, before you go, all right. Now, Linda, you've done this with me before, but I get to do this with your mom mostly. All right. Okay. I have, and I'll let, I know, Lorraine, you can't see, but I have 7 envelopes sitting here, and Lorraine gets to pick 3, and each envelope has 3 questions that I get to ask you, and they may not be always proper.
Okay.
So pick 3 numbers. Whoever wants to pick them.
Oh, I'll take number 1.
Number 1, second one, 2 more.
Oh, probably number 4.
Number 4
and number 7.
and number 7. Gotta love somebody who actually picks number 7.
I love that number.
Yeah, my favorite number is 3. My second favorite is 7.
There you go.
So anyway, and we all know why 3 would be our
Yeah, absolutely.
envelope number 1. We have 3 questions in here, Lorraine, for you to answer. Question number 1. Oh, this is fun to ask your mom. Would you rather go play bowling or putt-putt?
Bowling or what?
Putt-putt.
Putt-putt
I don't
golf.
know what putt-putt is, but
It's like miniature golf.
Miniature golf.
I'll go putt-putt.
Yeah, okay. Which would you prefer to have for a pet, a dog or a cat?
Oh, a dog.
Dog. Okay. Do you still have a dog, or is it just Linda's dog that comes by?
All right. She borrows dogs from the kids. It's far easier to clean up that way.
It's like grandkids. All right. After you spoil them, you can send them home. Yeah. Question number 3. Where would you rather get your coffee, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
Well, I'd rather have it at my house.
That wasn't a choice.
I know.
Starbucks. Yeah. So it's interesting because I'm a Starbucks person. I go to Starbucks with my mother every morning, right? But for Christmas, I bought my wife an $800 espresso machine, which I still don't use. My wife uses it, though.
It's perfect.
I love the experience of going to a coffee shop and sitting down and enjoying a moment of time of peace, because I work from home. So everything is, I live here, I work here, I eat here, I sleep here. I need a getaway, right? That's why coffee is, to me, is a getaway. So, yeah.
A real
envelope number 4. As you can see, Lorraine, these are designed to be this or that funny questions. So envelope number 4, question number 1. When you're in the car, do you prefer to listen to music or a podcast?
Oh, my music, I think.
Music? What kind of music do you listen to?
I'm into country western.
You still into country western?
I like the Gaither music.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, I remember listening as a teenager, a contemporary Christian artist, David Meese. Do you remember David Meese, Linda?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think so.
So he was 1980s, and one of the things he did is he did this whole skit as part of his live concerts. And this whole live skit was about music growing up. And he talked about how he loved the Beatles, and his brother got him into the Beatles. And his mother told him that the one music you don't listen to is country western because it's garbage. And in his thing, he said he remembered going to a place one time, and the guy said, "I like country western music." And he goes, "Oh, you like garbage." Things that you don't know about music. Anyway, question number 2 in this envelope is high heels or boots?
High heels or boots?
Oh, I think high heels.
All right. I love it. At 90, she still says high heels. Yeah. All righty. Question number 3 in this envelope is, if you're going to the movies, would you rather get popcorn or candy?
Popcorn.
I'm like Pavlov's dog. It's got to be popcorn.
Yeah. I figured, Lorraine, you were going to go with popcorn. I really did. All right. Our last envelope, number 7. Question number 1. Oh, I'm glad you got this one. In your house, does the toilet paper go over on the roll or under?
It goes over.
And if you go to somebody's house and it's under, do you
I
turn it
change
over?
it.
Yes.
These people don't know how to do this right.
What's wrong with
Lorraine,
you?
I'm glad you got that question because that was funny. So, hold on. I got to hit that button. My daughter's trying to call me while I'm on here. Anyway, this next one, I don't know if it's you or not, but beer or wine?
You don't have to tell your children. Beer or wine?
The what?
Beer.
Oh,
Or wine.
if I had to have one or the other, I'd take wine.
Yeah.
Red wine.
Red wine? Okay.
Yeah.
And the last question, I'm not sure you're even gonna pick on this one, but I got to ask it anyway. Is Superman or Batman?
Oh,
Ooh.
Superman. I tell you, I was married to one, so yeah, it's Superman.
Linda and I know a Superman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we do.
Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, we know a Superman, and I've actually been on his podcast.
That's pretty cool too.
Well, ladies, it's been great having both of you on the show today. I want you to repeat the website for those people on the audio so they can hear it. All right, and go order the book.
It's miracles, not one. Miracles, many. Miraclesonmydoorstep.com.
Cool. Well, again, I thank you both for taking time out of your schedule and being on my show today, sharing with my audience your stories, funny and all. All right, I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you
This was
so
such
much
a
for
great
having
pleasure.
us.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
It was
So,
great.
all right, to you guys, the listeners, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. All right, giving all your questions and comments as we put up on the screen today. And to you who are listening to this later on down the line, please go to miraclesonmydoorstep.com, get a copy of the book, and check out the playlist that goes with it. I'm Tim Gillette with The Tim Gillette Show. I'll be back with another guest real soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Thank you.